And congratulations, because we've been playing the brand new single now for a couple of weeks, and we've been getting so many people contacting us and saying that they love it. So congratulations.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much.
So I guess that's a great place to start. Tell us a little bit about The Bearer of Bad News. What sparked that track for you to write?
Well, I think the way that I've been framing it is like, in terms of like being the lyric writer and the vocal, like from a vocal perspective, I guess you could say, I treated The Bearer of Bad News as one of my last sort of tirades of writing not from my own perspective, if that makes sense. So yeah. A lot of our earlier work, I've been writing sort of from a basically just telling a story that doesn't necessarily have much to do with me, but it's something that I find interesting and something that I find really powerful. It just isn't like necessarily what you find in a lot of other heavy music and music in general that is coming from a personal place. The song explores themes of power and like the pursuit of power and how dangerous it can be. I suppose you could say in that sense it has a bit of a political inclination. Definitely not as much as not as political as our previous single, Mr. Magic, but it still is that it's driven by real events. It's just not honed in on a personal perspective. However, newer music, I have intentionally gone down that route. So, I've sort of been learning how to look introspectively, and it's been really interesting. But in terms of Bearer, very mysterious, very dark, just something kind of huge that goes kind of above my head, really.
Yeah. Do you find it easier to write from your own personal perspective, or do you find it easier to write like you have with this track almost from another perspective?
That's a really good question. I actually find it easier to write from someone else's perspective.
Yeah.
I think like storytelling is something that I'm very thankful comes quite naturally to me. I mean, I'm also an English major at university, so telling stories and writing essays and all those fun things like that are outside of my own like personal view. It just sort of, that's a little bit easier, but I'm intentionally challenging myself to do what I'm so familiar with listening to. Like, part of the reason that I love being in the part of the music industry in general, is because of how vulnerable people can be. And I think I think it was due time for me to start tapping into that, because I have a lot to say, I just need to find it.
Yeah.
And I have done so on what is like on our 2022 releases, and yes, it was challenging. I have a lot of respect for the artists that I look up to that speak from their own mind, like it's like second nature, like it's so natural. To me, it took a little bit of work, but I think we got there.
Yeah, definitely. And the other question that people are asking at the moment is this track part of something bigger? Can we expect like an EP or an album coming from you all very, very soon?
Yes, we're currently in the studio, like right now actually, recording our next EP. And that one will be coming out in 2022, and we're really excited to share it with you all.
Awesome. That was actually my next question. Was it difficult to get into the studio and record over the last couple of years? Because I know so many bands down here in Melbourne have had times just cancelled time and time again when they've been trying to get into the studio because the studio's been closed because of lockdowns. Is that something that you've faced as well?
Yes, absolutely. We, like everyone else, have had a pretty difficult time getting into the studio. We haven't actually practiced together in a couple months, and we really, really need to, because we've got some really awesome shows coming up. But it's been, I think that was one of the hardest things, and probably one of the most stressful things for us, as not only a band but a business as well. Like the way that you treat music is like, music is your commodity, and if we can't get our music out there, then we don't know how to continue. Like, of course we would get there eventually, but it gets really stressful. You don't know how you're going to be able to progress and keep growing if you're not able to deliver music pretty soon. But thankfully, we picked the perfect window, I guess, to finally get in. And we've been working with Chris Blancato. He's been fantastic. And now it's just a matter of getting into a studio all together and just having a big, long practice session. A couple, obviously.
Yeah.
We're gonna need to do a couple. But we're getting there. We're definitely seeing each other a lot more frequently, especially working in the studio and feeling a little bit more in practice and back in touch with what we do so well together. So I think things are looking up.
Definitely.
I guess, fingers crossed.
And how have you all spent the last couple of years when you haven't been able to do shows? Have you just been writing a lot of music and kind of letting things out that way?
Well, I think that everyone has taken it a little bit differently. Even within our band, like for example, Brandon, our guitarist, he just pumps tunes out like there's no tomorrow. Like he has put out some of his best work during 2020, and put it forward to us for the rest of the band to look over and like see what we can do with it. So that's been fantastic. If I'm talking myself, like 2020 peak COVID type thing, I lost a lot of motivation. And I think that I share my experience with a fair few artists. It wasn't just a matter, like a lot of people were saying was like, you've got so much free time now, just write music, just write it all, just like, turn the creative brain on and just churn it out sort of thing. But I think that the stress and the anxiety and the uncertainty around the last year or two has been really detrimental for a lot of people's creative side. And thankfully we're on our way out of that now, which means that it's definitely been coming back. And I will say that 2021 was way better. I find I work really well when I have like a deadline sort of thing. When I know what's coming, I'm like, okay, let's do this, let's do that. But when everything seemed so up in the air, I struggled a lot. So thankfully we're not there anymore. And we've written a couple of songs that are now being produced, which is awesome. So hopefully that was a one-off problem and we won't have to deal with that again, knowing
exactly.
Well that we probably will at some point, but you know.
I know exactly how you feel, because I'm a television and film screenwriter outside of radio, and everyone was saying to me, oh wow, you've got all this time at home now, you'll be able to churn out so many scripts. But I just couldn't get motivated. I kept on thinking, well, what's the point of writing at the moment? We're not going to be able to film it for years. We're not going to be able to get together and have workshops and go through the script. So, and because I felt trapped at home as well, like because I was working from home and we could only go 5Ks from home. And so there was no motivation there at all.
Yeah, everything that you're saying is completely resonating with me. Like, just not knowing what the future holds and feeling really trapped and you're not getting that that external source of inspiration from seeing, your loved ones, seeing your friends, and feeling that sense of happiness that really drives you. So I completely resonate.
But you have exciting times ahead now. Like you said before, you've got some amazing shows coming up. Tell us a little bit about how you feel with these amazing festivals and shows coming up that you're going to be part of.
Oh yes, I'm really, really excited. The way that I've sort of been framing it in my head is that, and also the band fully agree, we sort of discussed it a little bit, is that when we've received these show offers and we're accepting and we're in the process of like waiting to announce it and things like that, all of these, they don't feel real. It doesn't feel like a tangible, touchable, real life thing. Because with the year that's been, it's kind of along the lines of, it's just going to be postponed. Like, I can't imagine even playing shows, let alone going to shows. But I think now it's like, I think what I'm most excited for is to actually just get on stage. I'll like kiss the ground, honestly, because then it's only then, and when I see the people out there, and when I get to interact with a bunch of the artists that we're playing with, which I'm so excited to play with, it's only then that I think it's going to feel real and it's really going to pay off. But for now, it just remains this awesome, crazy fever dream, I guess.
Definitely. And because the last couple of years have been so tough, how can our listeners help you guys out at the moment? Like, is there merch and stuff that people can jump online and purchase to help you out?
Oh, that is so lovely for you to say. Well, yeah, like we actually just released a new line of merch for pre-orders. They're actually going to be shipping really soon too. So if you jump on our merch fan site, I mean, you can just check out our socials. There'll be links for everything in our link tree, for example. But if you jump on the merch, like you should be getting it shipped out really soon. So yeah, really happy with that. It's like a summer range. And then pretty much just keep spinning on Spotify, and like we're really happy with all the feedback that we've received so far. So just drop us a message if you enjoy it. And yeah, it's all of that kind of happy, gooey loviness that is keeping us going at the moment. So yeah, really appreciate any kind of support at this stage.
Awesome. Well, we hope a lot of our listeners do jump on and buy some stuff. And also, we are going to play the Bearer of Bad News on our show again right now. So what would you like to say to everybody out there before they take another listen to this amazing track?
I guess I just want to say thank you for everyone who has listened so far. Thank you for anyone who is listening now. And there is more where that came from.